Hello, good evening. Thank you very much for joining the Green Party Women Evens Hustings for the committee tonight. As you'll notice, this event is being recorded. We're very delighted to welcome Jenny Jones as our chair tonight. We are anticipating a pleasant evening, next hour and a half, getting to know a bit more about the people who put themselves forward for the committee. I want to thank everybody for putting themselves forward and attending tonight. We won't be taking questions from the floor. We did have a really good response to our email request for questions, so we already have plenty. So I'm going to hand you over to Jenny. Thank you so much for chairing.
Thank you, Kate. I feel very honoured to have been asked. My name is Jenny Jones. I'm one of your two representatives in the House of Lords. And I'm going to run quickly through how the evening is organised, but we've only got an hour and a half and there's a lot to get through. And I'm hoping that we can be kind to each other and have a shared sense of sisterhood, even the men who are in the Zoom with us. So first, we're going to have opening statements from the co-chairs. And then a Q&A for those co-chairs. Then we'll move on to opening statements for the candidates, the other committee candidates, and then a Q&A for those committee candidates. Now, there's a randomised order of the candidates for their responses, and so I'll let you know what the order is after asking each question. And so, can we go ahead? Am I moving too fast? Can we go ahead with the statements from the co-chairs, please? And we'll hear from Jude first and then Tina.
Oh, hello, everybody. Thanks very much for hosting, Jenny. It's great. So I know I've only got 2 minutes. I've got my little timer here, I think, but I'll just crack on. So I'm standing because I really want the Green Party Women's Committee this year to function really well as a helpful and productive place for women to organise inside the Green Party. I want all the skills and talents of all the women in the Green Party to be properly harnessed, and for us to be able to move forward with some policies that will really help the Green Party, with helping to get a sense that women are welcome in the party and our views are respected and valued. I'm also concerned that we need to properly give some advice and direction to some of the governance bodies. So I've personally been offering them some helpful advice behind the scenes, but I'll be more overt in doing that as your chair. I am a sitting councillor, so I'm very aware of what's happening on the ground for women generally, and I have been a previous member of this committee. It was a joy to serve at times, but also very challenging, as many of you will recognise. So I have good knowledge of what's gone on in the past, and I think I can really, really help to move forward and help the party to move forward and the Women's Committee as a whole. So I've been a councillor for 8 years. I'm very aware of what policy direction we need to go. I'm very aware of what policy gaps we've got, I think, and how we can make the party and the Green Party Women's Committee more attractive for people to join, how we can serve the membership of the party. It is a membership organisation after all, and I feel that we don't always recognise that fully. I want people in general to be able to have more respect for women's voices in the party, and for the governance bodies particularly to begin to respect and listen to our views. This has not been happening consistently across the party or the regions or in many local parties. I personally know that we have had many, many communications from women inside the party who would very much like to be helped and supported to work harder for the party and have more of an enjoyable experience. So that's why I'm standing. I'm delighted to be standing with Tina. I'm very, very pleased to have somebody who's got such a lot of experience. Oh, Sarah.
Jude, thank you. I better say that it's not me keeping the time. We've got Sarah and Kate being ruthless about timing, which is fantastic. Tina, can we hear from you, please?
First of all, I've just got to say how great it would be to run alongside Jude. Just to make it clear to everybody that this is we're both running as co-chairs, so it wouldn't be one or the other. We'd get the joy of working together. And why am I here for the third, fourth time for this committee that has always been a challenge? It's because if you look around the Zoom and you see who it is that comes to these things, how could I not want to stand with these women? You know, in the fight against fracking, it was women, 70% across the world, who changed that, who brought the outcome that brought success. I know how powerful and effective we are when we're organised, coordinated and focused on set goals. So yeah, so working with these women would bring me joy and hope. I've watched this committee as it's powered through obstacles that have been constantly put in its path. And imagine what we could do with all that energy if we weren't fighting obstacles. We were just getting on with the task that we're here for. I've also seen the loss of some of our best and wisest as their voices were silenced. And these people have been lost to our party. Wisdom that's been decades in the learning, you know, and I don't want to see that happen anymore. I think we really need this committee to get a hold of Green Party women, get us back on track, and really focus on what we can do for the party, because, you know, we're 51% of the population, and I think Green Party England and Wales needs us to help change things. It's a vital year for politics. The other two parties are looking shambolic. It should be our year to shine, and it should be our year of showing unity. So let me just skip down then. I'm always a bit too long. I recall some of the voices in the party that were decrying the work of book club, bird watchers, yoga. What people don't understand is this is what unifies women. This is what empowers and enables those who might not come into it for the politics, but come into it for other reasons, and we can empower them. So please vote for me and Jude. Thank you.
Tina, thank you very much indeed, and thank you again, Jude. I've got 3 questions, if we've got enough time for them, and we'll hear from Tina first and then Jude on the first question. What do you see as the most pressing issues for women in general, and how can we make sure these issues are prioritised while we also campaign against climate change and nature loss?
I think we all owe a huge debt of gratitude and a promise to continue the work of our sisters who for generation after generation refused to be less than, refused to settle for second class, and in this ongoing, seemingly never-ending fight for our rightful place in society. That's our job, and that's what a women's group should be doing. We will not let go of hard-won rights, and we will strive for more until justice and fairness are clearly evident. And the work we do isn't just for Green women or UK women, but for all women, because the life support system that all living things require to survive on this planet is being degraded, and it's this crisis that's impacting women and girls the most. The UN Women's Studies has shown that women and girls experience the greatest impacts of climate change, which amplifies existing inequalities and poses a unique threat to our livelihoods, health and safety. We need to fight for this for the women across the world, particularly those in countries where agriculture is of such importance, because the women and girls there are going to be feeling the impacts of climate change first. So yeah, there's a lot to fight for, but there's also an amazing 51% of the population to stand alongside.
Thank you, Tina. Jude.
Hi. Well, as a local councillor, I'm a lot nearer to the ground than perhaps many of our activist colleagues in the party, and I hear firsthand the issues that affect women in my fairly poor ward here in Bristol. So the cost of living crisis is a massive problem for most women. Getting access to decent NHS provision, including dental care. I personally was in a queue with those other people for 8 hours in Bristol yesterday trying to get hold of NHS provision. Air pollution does come up on the doorstep, and climate change, but air pollution, particularly for mothers that I speak to outside schools and on their way doing the school run or just generally in the city. Rent and stable housing, a massive, massive issue for most people. Childcare, the extremely high cost of childcare, ecological breakdown, and the states of parks and green spaces. Now, these are all things that as a local councillor I can do my best to try and help people with. So I think one of the things that we need to do is bring things back into a grounded reality in the party about what people really want from their politicians and what they want from their political parties. We have some quite aspirational ideas. I'd like to see that we really use Green Party Women this year to focus on some proper policy development, some in-depth thinking about how our policies in general affect women, and particularly how they help people out of poverty. And we have direct competition from the Labour Party over this. And I don't think we really often take it very seriously, that it's not just an aspirational, we wish sort of party we want to be. We have to be pragmatic and practical on the ground. So more women councillors is another part of it, and generally having a much more practical view of how politics really works.
Jude, thank you very much indeed. That's really good. We're going to hear from you first on the second question, which is, do you have ideas for engaging women in local parties?
Well, yes, I'm lucky enough to be in Bristol, one of the largest local parties, but I do see, and I've been a member of the party for 16 years, there is a big problem with engaging people generally. I was out canvassing with Carla Denyer only this week. There was myself, Carla, and 5 blokes. Yeah. So it's really apparent that we're not appealing to people, women particularly. We need to think about how we manage things better. We need to think about training and development of our volunteers, which members are volunteers a lot of the time. I don't feel we do a great deal about that. We focus a great deal on activism and getting the votes through, but perhaps not enough on developing our membership. So things about public speaking, how to get into politics, things that the Green Party Women's Committee tried to do some of last year, but we weren't working at full capacity, so it was a bit of a problem. So I'd like to see a bit more kind of volunteer development inside the party, and in local parties, the ability to organise Green Party women more regionally and locally. I said this, in fact, last year. So that's another thing. We do have to have the ability to move and spread and organise and do things for ourselves. Now, one of the things that holds us back, of course, is there's not really any resource provision for women. There's not really any particular training schemes for women in the party, particularly for women who might be disenfranchised by virtue of having caring responsibilities or by having children. You know, there are special places for Young Greens to organise and special funds. So I'd like to see more resource put into women, actually. That's the one way to make it happen.
Jude, thank you. Tina?
Okay, I've got to echo a couple of those points, but yeah, I have ideas. You know, I'd like to find the strong Green Party women voices that are in each of the regions. And I think what we should do then is gather, one of the things that worked for us was to take like a little road show, but we can't really afford to do that. So what we can do is create that little road show in a region that can attend local party meetings and make the relevance of Green Party women as a group obvious to the women in the party locally. I also think that one of the things that holds us back is data. We do not have data on who are women in this party. And whereas Young Greens automatically get membership that fulfills their criteria is automatically put into Young Greens. Green Party women, Green seniors, Greens of colour, none of us have that. And that's absurd that we are disadvantaged, all of us, and only the Young Greens have that access. So we need better data so we can find our women, but we also need to find what it is that suits them. We can't say all women will want to do it this way, because women, we're all different. So what aspect of what we do as Green Party women would suit them, and to allow more self-empowerment so that they can act on behalf of Green Party women without us necessarily always having to plan things for them. Again, I can only relate back to the women, the amazing women in the anti-fracking movement, who were self-empowered but came together because we worked well as a group, but each one was powerful in her own right in following the aims. We just need to create
30 seconds
things that we're aiming for together and get everybody focusing on those, one achievement at a time.
Brilliant. Thank you. Now, we're going to hear from Tina first on the third question, which is, given the cost in time and money to attend Green Party of England and Wales conferences, what would you suggest to support and encourage women to contribute to Green Party policies and processes, in particular women on low incomes and or with caring responsibilities? You've slightly covered this, but I'm sure you've got more to say.
I think Jude and I are pretty much on the same page as this, which is pages to each other on this, which is what was sought by the last committee to inform and educate the Green Party women, because navigating this party, how it works, which bodies do what, is growing ever more difficult. And we need to know, how do we get a policy into conference? How do we get heard at conference when such a minuscule percentage of people ever attend and have the power over voting in those policies? So not only will we educate our membership, we will also perhaps band together, get ourselves to vote on which policies we want to see at conference, and then do a concerted effort to ensure that those policies are taken to conference. We do need to fundraise, but perhaps as a group, we nominate who will go and take our policies to the floor. So I think there's a lot of ways to do this, but I think educating our membership and pooling together to say which policies matter the most to us, and let's work on those until they're so professionally honed, we can get them through.
Thank you, Tina. Jude.
Well, I'm sure Tina and I are on the same page, but I think I'm going to be a little bit more radical and future focused. I look at the party now after being a member for 16 years, and I used to think it was a place for robust discussion and intellectual movement, and it was a cutting edge thinking party. I don't think we are that anymore. I think we've got lost. We really need to look at what a party would look like in the 21st century, and it's not the structure we have. It's much more to do with direct voting. It's to do with using new technology. It's to do with using all the sorts of things that a modern political party, and there's plenty of examples in the world, does to enable democratic activism inside their organisations or inside their governments. So it really depresses me, actually, that we're not looking at some of these major political shifts and how other parties are dealing with stuff in places like America or Italy and outside the world. The Commons has got a fantastic organisation called Policy Lab, which looks at how we can manage and move policy in modern, innovative ways. We are a party trapped in the 20th century. And in fact, we're trapped way back in about the same time I was born, I'd say. So we need to look at radically modernising ourselves so that we become fit and able to take on the challenges of the next century. And we will, by doing that, we will help women, people who are disenfranchised from the archaic system that demands that we spend money. Only a few of us can go to conference, and the privilege of voting is afforded to a very tiny minority. So I have much more to say on this subject, and I really wish that we had the structures inside the party to properly take us forward to the next century and to have any hope of surviving in the next 10 years as a party.
Thank you very much, Jude. Right, we've heard from the co-chairs. And now we're going to move on to the candidates, and I'm going to read out the running order of the candidates. It's been randomised. If the candidates could remember where they come, that would really help. So we're going to hear opening statements from Liz and Amanda, Siobhan and Rachel, Linda, Lockie and Sarah, Hazel and Jessica, Anne Baker, and Sue Williams, who is speaking for Karen as well. So if you could go ahead, that would be fantastic. And if you've remembered your order, I can help if you forget.
Hi everyone, I'm Liz Mansfield, Green Party member for 20 odd years, and I'd be privileged to serve on the Green Party Women Committee alongside Amanda. I've been a performer primarily in theatre all my working life, and speaking out comes pretty easily to me. I'm passionate about fighting for a fairer, greener world and for women and our sex-based rights. And I believe it's high time we had respectful, unafraid discussion about this question inside the Green Party. Shutting up and excluding women who are amazing green activists using no-fault suspensions and expulsions is a disgrace and a terrible loss to the party. I believe we need democracy, not authoritarianism, if we're to achieve our goals. Green Party Women needs to be a safe space where we can talk about our ideas, our campaigning work, share our passions, learn from each other, empower each other, and have some fun too. Thanks for listening.
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda Stones, currently South Norfolk Green Party, though some of you might actually know me from Waveney. I've been a keen supporter of the Green Party and an ordinary member for over 20 years, volunteering practically in my local parties, using my skills as a graphic designer and a campaigner. Like Liz, I hope by serving on the committee, I can help Green Party Women to be a warm and open space where we can share and support and grow our ideas together. This is particularly important to me as a working class woman. I think it is important that the voices of working class women are heard.
30 seconds.
Not only in Green Party Women, but in Green Party as a whole, and I want to facilitate that. I'm very concerned that working class women feel alienated by the Green Party, particularly when our conversations about material reality are shut down and pathways to mutual understanding are closed. I want Green Party Women to be a safe place for all women where all our voices are heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Lockie.
No, Siobhan. Siobhan and Rachel.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, look, I can't even read my own list. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Siobhan. Yes, Siobhan.
Shall I go first?
Yes. Yeah, if you're ready.
Yeah. So, hi, I'm Rachel. I see the role of a non-portfolio job share as supporting those who do have a particular role, as well as coming up with other ideas. The Green Party is packed with strong, intelligent women, determined to stand up for people and planet. We've seen this already, haven't we? Most people don't actually belong to a political party, and I think perhaps through a lack of confidence, some who do could do more, would like to do more. I'm particularly interested in encouraging those like myself who don't feel particularly confident and avoid getting involved. And I don't have a particular plan, but I do have quite a few ideas about it, some of it based on my own experience. I think 2 weeks ago, even a week ago, I wouldn't have dreamt of doing this. Having a background in social care and being a member of Sheffield Autistic Partnership Board, I'm particularly interested in the lack of resources in social care, which disproportionately affects women. And if elected, I'd work hard with the others to do what we can to raise the profile of women and things that concern women in the Green Party. Thanks, that's it.
Thank
Siobhan,
you.
you've got 42 seconds. Speak quick.
Okay. I'm Siobhan, delighted to run again for Green Party Women's Committee with Rachel Hardy and really excited about it. Privileged last year to work
30
with all the other
seconds.
great women, and we really want to go forward today with campaigns for elected without any harassment this year. I was a midwife was my last job, and obviously biological sex is key to that and to all things women. So we'll be going forward on that basis, and we'll work really hard to ensure GPW, in fact, speaks for women inside and outside the party and truly welcomes science and critical thought.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now it's Lottie.
Hello, I'm Loppy from Salisbury Green Party. I'd like to be elected to Green Party Women as a non-portfolio member with the lovely Sarah Bond. I've been a peace and environmental campaigner since the 1970s. I'm a lifelong feminist, and having worked with adults with a severe learning disability, I firmly believe in single-sex intimate care for women and girls' safety. I was at Greenham Common over the winter 1981-2 and helped start Burfield Peace Camp. I used to do non-violent training for Dorset, Wiltshire and Hampshire and helped organise the Big Green Gathering from the beginning. I'm really looking forward to working with other women again and learning from them. And now over to Sarah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Bond. I'm from Waveney Green Party. I'm pleased to be standing with Loppy. Firstly, I'd like to thank the outgoing committee for all that they've done for Green Party women, often in the face of much adversity. Thank you, ladies. I'm a fairly new member of the Green Party, but have voted Greens many times. Upon joining the party, I was warmly welcomed into the Green Party Women's Group, and I'd like to help other women in the party find their way to our group. I'm a mother and grandmother and feel strongly about helping raise up the voices of those women who are working unpaid as carers or as childcare support. So many of these women take the load off social care and the NHS. I would like to help ensure our party policies uphold the value of these often unseen and unheard roles. Much of this world is male-centric, and it's important for women as a class to uphold the sex-based rights that have already been won by our mothers and grandmothers before us. Let's carry on this wonderful tradition of women's voices making a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Loppy and Sarah. And now over to Hazel and Jessica.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Jessica Goldfinch from Norwich, and I'm speaking on behalf of Hazel Pegg from Glastonbury Street. I was going to read out our statement, and then I finally realised that something hit me tonight. Greenham Common in the early 1980s. Hazel was at Greenham Common in the early 1980s, and I delivered to Greenham Common supplies in the 90s. I cannot believe that we have over 100 years of experience of green feminism between us. Like, suddenly it just hit me. I'm also thinking that both Hazel and I, we centre women and girls in our feminism, and because it is essential to move all environmental projects forward, as we know, and as previous members have said, that, you know, women and girls are disproportionately impacted by everything environmental, and yet we are some of the bravest, brightest people to bring about that change. And Greenham Common, I finally remembered it, was one of those times. So when I think about the job of membership, and Hazel is really the techie one, and I didn't want to overstretch myself, so a job share between us would be really fantastic. That Hazel's got a real handle on all of the tech and the privacy and the accuracy of records that need to be kept. So members need to feel secure that all of those things will be kept. I'm also one, as Hazel is, for good governance, and that means being responsive, encouraging participation, and obviously accountability, but also equality, and also to follow the rule of law. And I think that both of us can manage those things together, but also in a pastoral effect as well, that we can support our members because they really are the lifeblood of what we're trying to do. And if we can't retain them, but it's also supporting the notion of critical thought and the exchange of ideas, and we don't have to agree on everything. So I really hope that you can put a little X for myself and Hazel to be your membership secretaries for the Green Party Women. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now Anne.
Hello, thank you. I would consider it an honour if I was voted in again for another year working on this committee with such wonderful people. I mean, individually, there's a certain amount we can do, but you just imagine when we all work together how powerful we can be and focusing on our core aims of helping other women and girls. But one thing that came to mind, recently I started doing a course in environmental management with the Open University. And one of the examples is fracking. And there was a little video that we had to watch, and guess who was in it? A lovely colleague, Tina. So it's surprising how widely our reach can go when we stand up for what we believe is right. And I do feel that I would like to say have another year of working as a treasurer and also hosting the other events like the Green Witchers, and I'd be willing to get involved in other issues like that of how we can reach out to people. And sometimes those have been belittled, but they are how people can be reached when they're not part of a big party or they're in a more remote area where they haven't got an active local party. So those events and panels that we have with different speakers, all of that is something that I'd like to be able to just go into more detail and with more ideas and say with a wider group of people that we can work with. I'm just looking forward to hopefully being elected again as treasurer.
Thank you very much, Anne. And now Sue Williams.
Sarah, as Dero kindly said I could have just a couple of seconds just before she whacks the timer, just to explain you're only going to hear from me today. Karen's got sight impairment and she's suffering from sort of quite a severe eye strain at the moment, so she's sort of temporarily unable to cope with screens. But we have worked on our statements together and we are very much on a team. Okay, is my timing starting now?
Yes.
Okay, so my activism has been varied. It's often centred women's rights, including setting up my local women's rights network group, being a founding signatory of the Green Women's Declaration. As current secretary, I value communication with our members, and I've always responded really promptly to members who've reached out to me. Karen and I both believe that Green Party Women has got different roles, different purposes it can fulfil within the party. It's got an important social role in bringing women together and an important campaigning role in standing up for women. This year on the committee, I've hosted the monthly book club, I've hosted successful film events. I was proud to walk behind our banner alongside other members of the committee at last year's National March Against Violence Against Women and Girls. And I was proud to join our co-chair, Zoe, representing Green Party Women at a reception to honour Afghan women. Karen's been an active member since she joined the Green Party. She served on the Equalities and Diversity Committee and the Disability Group Committee and GPRC, the Green Party Regional Council. She's used her expertise nationally and particularly in the London region to improve accessibility standards. I'm feeling a bit in awe here. She's made a real impactful contribution to the Culture Working Group. So you get great value if you vote for the two of us. My neurodiversity and Karen's sight impairment have given us a personal understanding of the difficulties which disabled women in particular face when they wish to become more involved in our party. We want to ensure that green values are embedded across the party and that genuine diversity is embraced. We intend to support the voices and needs of women within the party to ensure the Green Party women are consulted on all policies that affect us. We want to foster community and solidarity between ecologically focused women. We believe that women are oppressed and discriminated against on the basis of our sex, and we need to work together to overcome the obstacles which society puts in front of us. Our aim is to put women...
Thank you very much, Sue. Sorry you had to get cut off. Our electoral returning officers are ruthless. Right, we're going to pose you candidates some questions now. I'm just going to let you know the order, and it's Lottie and Sarah, Siobhan and Rachel, Liz and Amanda, Hazel and Jessica, Anne Baker, and then Sue Williams. No, that can't be right, isn't it the same? No, it's a different order, and this was randomised. They weren't picked out of a hat. This was done properly. Did you all get that? I can call out if not. Right, question 1. In lots of areas of life, women seem to have been subsumed into equalities. Do you think the party should have a spokesperson for women? Lockie?
Yes, of course we should have a spokesperson for women. We're at least 51% of the population, and we've always had to fight for our rights as a sex. It's not that long since we had to fight for the right to even vote. Now some of us are having to fight as waspy women in order to get our pension money back. Female refugees need our spokesperson. They're vulnerable, living in tents in refugee camps. And women and girls suffer disproportionately from climate change and environmental damage. Women still do most of the housework and childcare, or caring for the sick and the elderly. We need a spokeswoman to speak to our sex-based rights at work, our specific health needs around menstruation, period poverty, pregnancy, and menopause. We need someone to speak to our rights in political parties, including the Green Party, where we seem to be being oppressed. And we need somebody to speak to our rights as girls when we're children, and as women, and when we get old or disabled or become ill. Thank you.
Sarah? Question 1 on equalities. And do you think
Lockie has answered question 1. Yes, I definitely think there should be, and we're in full agreement with that. So,
okay.
But yeah, is that okay? I'm afraid
Yeah, of course. Yes. Can I just check with EROs? Are we expecting both candidates to reply to all the questions?
Not necessarily, but it would be helpful if in a pair, if only one of them is going to speak to a question, it might be helpful to flag that up.
At the start. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. We do have a little bit of time in hand, but even so. Right. Siobhan and Rachel, are you both going to say something?
Yeah, no, I'm going to take this one. I think others have actually said a lot of what I was going to say. So the answer is yes to having a spokesperson. We're 51% of the population. We're currently still getting paid less, still doing most of the caring, still vulnerable to male violence in ways I just didn't expect that we'd be facing in 2024. I really think male violence needs tackling. We still don't have health needs taken seriously. You know, you hear some terrible stories about the way women are treated by GPs and in hospitals. And I'm thinking of research as well as practice in this area. It would be good for somebody to have a real handle on the law concerning women who could help keep the Green Party up to date. It would also show respect for women to have a specific spokesperson rather than them be subsumed into equalities. And although we shouldn't always follow other parties do seem to have women and equalities posts. So the answer is yes, we should have a spokesperson, spokeswoman.
Thank you, Rachel. Right, next, Liz and Amanda.
I said I'd take this one for me and Liz. Where to start? In principle, I think it's a really good idea that we have a spokeswoman for people for women in the party. But my concern is that that role might not actually centre the female experience. I kind of refer you back to what I said earlier about working class women and material reality. a spokesperson for women must centre the real material issues that women face and are going to face in the future as climate change gets worse. You know, things like the fact in the UK, a woman is killed by a man every 3 days, and it's usually by a partner or a member of their own family. Or, you know, things that were recently highlighted in the media about the soaring rate of infant mortality linked to extreme child poverty in the UK. You know, the cost of living crisis is impacting women heavily, and particularly single mothers. And, you know, there's a lot of concern around the care that mothers receive from the NHS, both like during pregnancy and after giving birth. And I would like a women's spokesperson to concentrate on these very, very female issues. Yeah, everybody else has said what else I would say, so I'll just leave it at that. Thanks.
Thank you, Amanda. Right, Hazel, Jessica, who is going to speak, or both?
Yeah, I'm going to speak to this one. Jess is doing question 2. Yeah, we absolutely need a spokeswoman for women, and I'm not volunteering for the role because I absolutely hate public speaking, which is why I ducked out earlier. And the reason we need it, particularly in the Green Party, is that women don't seem to even be existing. We've got various policies, but none of them specifically mention women. If you go through our, whatever it's called, the list of policies, we're not there. Sex is not mentioned, all sorts of other things are, but women are not. And it's really, really important. We are not a subset. I mean, yes, equality is fine. You know, it seems to almost be, and it was a bit of a joke a few years ago, that we're non-men, and non-men is a massive category that includes an enormous number of people who aren't what you might call pale, stale, white males, and it's not good enough. We're women. We have specific issues which have been mentioned by the other speakers, and it's really important because the Green Party's got a really good track record of supporting women and promoting women and making sure that they, you know, obstacles are taken out of their way and places are reserved. And that seems to be slipping away from us in the last few years. And I think it's really, really important that we get back to that because we are half the population. You know, everyone, I don't know, I said I'm hopeless at public speaking. Jess will probably murder me afterwards. But yes, absolutely. Spokesperson for women, spokeswoman, please.
30 seconds.
I've gone.
Thank you.
Right. Anne Baker.
Yeah, I'm gonna basically agree. I can't see any reason why we shouldn't have a spokesperson for women. We do have specific issues that only affect women. So I won't repeat what everyone has said, but I think we need to, if we do pursue this as an option, we need to make sure that the remit is very clear. We don't end up with conflicts or duplications in roles, and the person would be able to be very focused on looking for issues that only affect women and girls. That's all I want to add.
Thank you very much, Anne. Sue Williams.
Oh, I've unmuted myself this time. Okay. Should we have a spokesman for women? Absolutely. And Karen and I both thought it was absolutely shocking that we don't have one already. We need a spokesperson for women, and that person has got to be a woman. We make up just over half the population. We've got so many challenges that we face because of our sex. You know, the others have already said, to do with our health, male violence, cost of living, so many things that affect us. But we don't have a spokeswoman to advocate for us. Doesn't the Green Party think we're important enough? We need to change that. We currently have got many excellent spokespeople who are on top of their brief and promote the strong policies that come under their remit. But that remit is so wide that the effects on women get lost. We need a spokeswoman for women, someone who will advocate for us and shine a light on the issues that affect women, but someone who will also work with the other spokespeople to promote women's interests. I think that the book Invisible Women should be required reading for all our spokespeople and for all those in positions of leadership within the Green Party. It highlights the unconscious biases which affect decision making and the ways in which services are used differently by men and women. Women are too often invisible in society, and we need a spokeswoman for women to make sure that women aren't invisible within the Green Party. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sue. It is quite interesting that of our 3 parliamentarians, all are women, and on the London Assembly, of course, 2 women and 1 man. You know, in some ways, I think we do still achieve a huge amount. But back in the 1970s, for those of us who were there, we did think all of these fights had been won, and clearly they hadn't. So I was taking advantage of the fact that we've gone quite fast, which is brilliant. I'm now going to ask question 2, and question 2 is: a report in 2022 said that half of all children in lone parent families are in relative poverty. Most lone parent families are headed by women. So how can Green Party women help to reach out to single mothers on a low income and encourage them to feel that the Green Party has their best interests at heart? Liz, Amanda.
Hi, yes. Well, I was a single parent myself back in the 80s, living mostly on benefits. And it was a very different environment at that time. I was in Leeds and I was living in a collective where we had mutual support around us. I'm now watching my niece, who is similarly living on benefits as a lone parent. And social services and those kinds of structures have fallen away in our society, as we're all painfully aware of. So the first thing that happens when you're in that situation is that you don't have any time for anything. You're desperate, trying to get from one situation to another, keep yourself and your child afloat. And so the very first thing is that those support structures need to be back in place in our society, and we need to fight for those to happen. It's childcare, it's social workers on the ground who can come and talk and support women. It's midwives before the child arrives, having a line to that woman to support them through childbirth and after. It's things like our policy, the Universal Basic Income, which of course are brilliant policies for everyone, but particularly for lone parents. A policy like that would be a lifesaver. So, and I think that in Green Party Women, it would be wonderful for us all to share our experiences and our experiences beyond into the communities that we know, in understanding how we can reach out at an individual basis. I mean, knocking on doors when you're canvassing, for example, is a wonderful moment to reach out to people like that, to talk to them about what their concerns are, and to talk about the policies in the Green Party that we have to offer. Thanks.
Thank you, Liz. Right, Rachel or Loppy, who's going to say something, or both?
Siobhan is answering question 2.
Yes, and we decided that Sarah would answer this question instead of me.
Okay. Wonderful.
Would you like me to answer it now? Yes. This is question 2, yes?
Yes.
So I have been and still am a single mother raising 2 sons in their 20s. It has been a challenge at times, with no local support from family for the early years and an ex who worked offshore with a moment's notice. I found it difficult to accomplish a career of any sort. I worked for many years on very low wages as a self-employed cleaner. This was only possible through having clients that understood my position of having to drop arrangements at the last minute for children's illnesses, teachers' strikes, etc., alongside arranging cover for my own illnesses when required. This has given me a passion for making a difference to single mothers on low incomes, and being part of the Green Party Women Committee, I would like to help encourage support by engaging in local women's groups, asking how the Green Party can make a difference to them. Whether this is by setting up IT workshops to assist with job applications, offering support in benefits applications, and encouraging community groups for social support. Many lone parents feel very isolated. During lockdown, Green Party Women was a huge support to many in the party, and it would be great to expand upon this into the wider local area. Green Party policies, with our basic universal income policy, will help raise women out of poverty and give them options that they are at the moment denied. We have a wealth of knowledge and abilities between us in the committee that we can pull together and make women's lives better across all areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Siobhan, do you want to come in now?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I'm going to answer this one. I think whether we want women to vote for the party or to join it, we need to ensure our policies are real and that we're seen to be working to make them achievable, not too much random new policy and sound bites instead of actual campaigns. We've already got some good policies about health, workers' rights, benefits and childcare, and we've even got a maternity policy that actually names women, whoop whoop. But large sections of the country are in hardship, but we must recognise that women in these groups in particular need to be supported with access to work, further education and benefit support. So we need to recognise sex and have better data within and for the party. Last year, Green Party women spread information and supported many campaigns via social media, but it'd be great if we're allowed to actually devote our time this year and power through some real campaigns, as Tina was saying. I'd say childcare is the issue to prioritise, as women can't do anything work or education or self-actualise unless there's access to safe and affordable childcare. But we need to listen to women inside and outside the party. And our first special meeting as Green Party women, if we're all elected, or even a special EGM needs to be the start of hearing what women have to say so that we're, doing the right thing for them. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we hear from Sue Williams?
No. Being a single parent, as other women on the committee have already said, who have been single parents themselves, it's often a really tiring job, like emotionally and physically. And when you add that onto that, the cost of living crisis, a lot of single mothers don't have the bandwidth to engage in party politics. And I think we do need to recognise that. But if many of those struggling single mothers aren't in a position to think about party politics, they will be caring about their children and worrying about their children's future. Ecological justice and social justice are inextricably linked, and that's the message that we need to shout out. There are specific Green Party policies which demonstrate this and which we need to be highlighting. Policies which promote clean air, for example, have a positive environmental impact and will also dramatically improve children's health, particularly in the cities. And there's lots of other policies that have been mentioned, like our maternity policies, that will benefit women and single mothers in particular. Thinking about this question, I thought I don't have the answers to how to reach out to those low-income single mothers, how to convince them that we've got the policies which address their needs. But what I thought is that I know solutions that arrived after genuine good faith discussions have been proved to be far better than any solutions thought up by individuals. Looking around at the other women who were applying to be on the committee, listening to what they've said today, reading the candidate statements, we've already got masses of ideas about how to reach to these women. I know we'd work together collaboratively and we would be a great team that would stand up for women. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Now, Loppy and Rachel collaborated in putting forward someone else to speak for them. Is there anything else you'd like to say that you felt wasn't covered?
No, I'm very happy with what Sarah said. Thank you.
All right. Rachel, did you want to say anything?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
No, you see, you're collaborating already and you're short-circuiting the whole system. So, right, I'm going to move on to question 3. I'll just read out.
We haven't heard from Anne, I don't think, did we, on that question?
I'm so sorry. Did we not?
Did we hear? And
No,
Jessica's waving.
Yeah, good, good.
Yeah. Right. I'm not sure that I can add much to what's already been said. I was fortunate enough not to end up in that situation personally, but I know how difficult it is to be short of money when there's 2 parents. So I just imagine how horrendous it is to try and cope when you are on your own. So I'm happy to go along and support everyone else's ideas on this, because coming from a traditional working class background, it's so often we're just forgotten, and that we don't matter, we're not important, I don't know, we're not glamorous or whatever. So yeah, I just welcome that opportunity to work with everyone else and do what we can to help the situation.
Thank you, Anne. Right, we'll move on to question 3. My apologies to everyone.
Jessica and Hazel.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm taking this one for myself and Hazel.
Oh, right. Okay, right.
Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So both Hazel and I have been single parents, and I think it's fair to say that, you know, when you find yourself at the end of your tether, you're struggling to make ends meet, robbing Peter to pay Paul, all the rest of it. And then I found out that to pay for a primary caregiver, or in this case, a single mother, cost in the region minimum around £1,000 a week. Because if you think about it, 24-hour security, intimate care, feeding, clothing, it's all this stuff that if you paid individuals to do, it's an onerous task, but we do it anyway. And I'm trying to add to what other people have said rather than repeat that. For me, the notion of supporting single parents starts with the party being very explicit that they are for women, a society that values women, particularly pregnant women, and women to be primary caregivers, to support their breastfeeding and the closeness with their children, for value to be placed on bringing up the next generation. Because I think far too often, and I do get quite emotional about this, women's bodies and their life trajectories are used as commodities, and their offspring are used as commodities. And we need to say to women, no, actually you're not. You are part of us. So when people were talking about the services around them, I call them the buffer services, the post offices, the Sure Start centres, obviously maternity.
30 seconds.
Thank you, all of that stuff. And to have access to facilities with sustainable care products. So you bring the environment into that. So essentially, community cohesion, fiscal support and environmental support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessica. I'm sorry I tried to stop you coming in. Kate, Sarah, are we clear to go on now to the third question? Right, question 3. There's been serious concerns raised about the provision of safe places for mothers to give birth and early postnatal care in the NHS. In what ways can Green Party women actively campaign to improve the quality of care in maternity provision in England and Wales? So I've got Anne to reply first.
Right. Obviously, being a little bit older than some people, I had my children when I think the provision was quite good, and that was back in England. I'm now in Wales, and the health service between the two is completely different, so we have to bear that in mind. I haven't got any easy answers. We're just going to have to, as a team, research and come up with any way we can go forward. But I say, yeah, my knowledge of the existing situation is so out of date that I don't feel I can say much more, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Thank you. And now we've got Liz and Amanda.
I'll speak on this one. I have not actually really prepared for this question because, like, what can we do other than prioritise it as a campaign for Green Party women? You know, we have no influence at the moment on how the NHS is run and how it treats women, but we can be as vocal as we possibly can be to make sure that, you know, women who are pregnant and who have just given birth, you know, their voices are heard by being as loud as possible, that maybe like some of those people that have more influence will pick it up. And then particularly in the Green Party as a whole, you know, as people have like referred to earlier, you know, women is almost absent. Our needs are almost absent when, you know, spokespeople are talking and things. And maybe that spokesperson for women is where this really comes in. And that's where we get it really, you know, actively campaigning for us. That's all I can say. You know, I can't change the NHS. I'd love to. I'd like some common sense people running it, but, you know, apparently that's out of fashion.
Thank you. And now Rachel or Siobhan?
Hi, yeah, it's Siobhan again.
Oh, Siobhan, sorry. I keep mispronouncing your name. Siobhan.
That's okay. We didn't say who was going to do it. I just wanted to say, agree with everything everybody else has said, and Green Party says the right things in that maternity policy document about supporting women and maternity workers in their jobs, but it needs to update this to ensure we look at care and outcomes for women of colour, and also stress the importance of data to ensure monitoring of existing services and the development of research is robust. Our policy also needs to encourage further women and staff to speak up. Those in charge of services often block questioning and critical voices. Who knew that was a thing? And bow to the latest distracting whim or policy that's not backed up by data, research or consultation with women. And that really must end. We've also got to see the end to knee-jerk reactions to hospital scandals, as it's women-centred care and proper funding and appropriate resources is pretty much the answer to everything. You can cure problems by throwing money at it. You really can. And the midwifery staffing crisis is ongoing, and university fees for courses for midwives and nursing needs to be abolished, so we get back women in their 20s and 30s and older to train again, as we lost that swathe of really useful women who stayed in the job. But that ended when fees were introduced. I think it was about 8 or 9 years ago. New young midwives, we need them as well, but we need those older women as well back in the workforce.
30 seconds.
Thanks. That's it. I've done.
Thank you, Siobhan. Sue Williams is next.
Yeah, I had my daughter just over 20 years ago, and I was lucky. I had really positive experience. We had excellent sort of public services. So the antenatal care from the midwife and the locally run antenatal support group were great. The experience of the birth and the aftercare was great. And then afterwards, visits from the health visitor. The local hospital was running a postnatal support group, and new mothers would go along, and there'd be mothers at all different stages with tiny newborns, and then you could see these great big babies that were about 2 or 3 months old, and you could learn from other mothers, and that was lovely. And there's so many women now that are just not getting that because public services have been decimated, and ones affecting women seem to be hardest hit. And on Green Spaces a couple of months ago, Deborah Cooper posted in the Green Women's Space some links to some reports about absolutely shocking maternal care and the experiences that women have. There's the report that came out recently about figures for maternal deaths, how high they are for black women compared with white women. It's absolutely shocking. The question isn't how can we improve the quality of care, because as others have said, we haven't got the power to improve it. But the question is, how can we campaign? And as Green Party women, it is something that we need to really strongly campaign against. We were really lucky at our AGM to have Pallavi, our health spokesperson, as our keynote speaker, talking about the NHS, about the policies, about how to get involved. She inspired the women in that room. And I think we need to work with our spokesperson with policy development to involve members of the Green Party women, not just the committee, but wider women to get involved in policy making.
10
Thank
seconds.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sue. And now Jessica or Hazel?
I'll take this one for Hazel and myself again. Wow, just hearing everything. Yes, all of the above, all the other women were saying is that from my perspective as well, we've had children, both Hazel and I, under the NHS. For me, it wasn't the best of environments. It was okay, but it was the staff. It really was the staff that helped me through. I had a male midwife at one point during my labour. I had female midwife, but I also had many choices that I could make at the time. So for me, if you're campaigning, again, it's about the party saying, are women really important, front and centre of their own bodies, their maternity care? So for me, it's the whole culture, in addition to what the other women have said tonight. I'm also a scientist practitioner. I believe in data collection. I believe in hardcore data that says what does happen to people of all persuasions, ethnicities, colour, religion, because we don't understand even the cohort enough at the moment. And I also worry, because working in the NHS, that it's top management that actually don't listen to the middle management and the people on the floor. Those are the people that you can campaign with because they've got more of the answers and they know how to spend the money best. because it's not all about money, it's where you choose to spend it, and they will know best because they're on the ground to do it. And it's for the party, it's about getting to know the people that we're supposed to be campaigning. It's not us and them, it's actually going there and visiting. So I would say, yes, it's all about that cohesion. It's not just about campaigning, it's saying women are welcome and we've got your back. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. And now, Loppy and Sarah, or one of you.
Yes, I think it's going to be me. I really agreed about having Pallavi speak, and I wish we could have her back again to speak about maternity, because what I've noticed is I had my children in the 1970s, the first one in a cottage hospital that used to be outside Glastonbury, and you had somebody to care for you then, nearly all of the time. And then when you went home, somebody came in to help you with the baby. Now, that doesn't really happen now. I've had people in my family who've actually been damaged because the midwife didn't listen to them. And after having a cesarean, nobody came in afterwards to visit them at home when they'd come home too early. They had to go out themselves with a toddler and a new baby to see somebody. It's ridiculous. This is mostly caused by not enough staff, because staff are not treated well in the NHS anymore. They don't get a bursary to be trained anymore. They don't have time between each women. So I think women are really suffering in maternity. I mean, this is why we need a spokesperson for women in the Green Party, because all these things need to be addressed. I really would like to hear our leadership speak on it for a change.
30 seconds.
So I think Green Party women could get midwives to come and speak to us about what's going on for them, and to tell us how we could help women in the party and generally in the population. Thank you.
Thank you, Loppy. I'm going to take, now that's the end of our candidates' answers. I'm going to take some advice from Kate and Sarah, because we are finishing a bit early. Is there anything else you would like to do?
Normally everything overruns.
I'm so sorry.
Surprise. Actually, we finished a little bit early.
Great. Well, I can go back into the debate in the House then, and but I would like to thank our electoral returning officers, Kate and Sarah, who've been absolutely amazing, and thank the candidates, because it is quite stressful, even when you're in a supportive environment. And of course, thank you to everybody who's actually come along and listened to them so that they can vote in a knowledgeable way. So thank you very much to everybody, and we all get to go home early.
We just want to reiterate our big thanks to you, Jenny, to come and just be a good figure to hold it together. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.